Hello, everybody, dear friends, relatives, contributors to the book, advisors, your Royal Highnesses, your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, anyone who is on this webinar. This is the launch of our new book, Protocol to Manage Relationships Today, Modern Relationship Management Based upon Traditional Values. It's published by Amsterdam University Press today and written by my friends and colleagues Jean-Paul Vyers, Isabel Amaral, bengt-arne Hulleman, Diana Mather, and myself, William Hanson. There are many contributors from the corporate, government and cultural worlds, protocol and relationship management experts, and many of Protocolbureau's ushers and former ushers. In the book, we present the value of protocol in our 21st century world. The book describes the successful application of contemporary protocol to build strong relationships and, among others, how people like the Dutch King, the Portuguese President, and also events like the royal wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle and World Press Photo Awards bring modern protocol together. The book also sees the Dutch fashion and lifestyle expert Mike de Boer explain the value of protocol in the world of fashion, and we also look at protocol at the famous Berlin techno club Berghain and look at how that is described. Now, if you wish to buy the book, you can do so on our websites. The addresses are coming up on screen shortly. It's protocolbureau.com/book or theenglishmanor.com/shop. And obviously, if you like the book, you can leave a rating, hopefully a good one, on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, bol.com, or any other book website. Now, there is also a launch of the book in Dutch on Thursday, the 1st of December, Amsterdam time, with the famous Dutch fashion expert that I have just mentioned, Mike de Boer, and he will talk about the protocol in the world of haute couture in Paris, Milan and New York. So if you want to register for that, go to the protocolbureau.com website /book and you can do so there. And of course, if you want more information about trainings in protocol, again on our website. My name is William Hanson. I'm talking to you from the English Manor in London, and my colleague Diana Mather, who has just joined us now, also in London, will now read a section from the book's introduction.
Well, it started in 1995 when we were still students at the hotel school, the Hague University, and wanted to make some extra money by working in catering at events. At one of these events, the Royal Brunch, we were spotted by the director of the Roosevelt Foundation, the fondly remembered R&D Room. He asked us to assist him at his Franklin D. Roosevelt Four Freedoms Awards, a prestigious award ceremony always attended by the Dutch royal family and in 1996 also by the Spanish royalty. His Majesty King Juan Carlos of Spain was one of the laureates. All the royalty created a need for knowledge about protocol. We contacted the Master of Ceremonies of Her Majesty Queen Beatrix of the Netherlands to lecture us in protocol, which he did. It proved to be the perfect preparation for our support at the Four Freedoms Awards. At the turn of the 21st century, Protocolbureau was called in to help assist the royal household with the organisation of free royal weddings and free state funerals. Our responsibilities included seating over 1,000 guests per event, a unique experience that helped to establish us as a leading protocol expert organisation. From the very beginning, however, it was clear that the Protocolbureau could not exist solely by working at royal events. A broader approach was needed. This was found with a contemporary application of protocol as described in this book. We translated the royal protocol into a method that could be used at informal events as well. Fashion designers asked us for assistance. How can we make sure only potential clients take a seat in the first row? In the corporate world, we use protocol to increase the number of meaningful encounters at networking events and guarantee that account managers talk to the guests and not to each other. Cultural organizations asked us to support them in achieving their sponsoring goals, how to give the right amount of attention to the people who are important to us. This new approach meant seeing protocol as a method that requires a flexible and adaptable approach to unique situations. This was very uncommon at that time, and initially our vision was not widely accepted. On the one hand, there was and still is resistance from traditional protocol experts. On the other hand, There is the larger public who generally regard all protocol and etiquette to be something of the former era, a battle on two sides.
Diana, thank you very much. There were some issues with your sound halfway through, but don't worry, everybody. If you want to know exactly what Diana said, you can buy the book. It's all in there. I'm now pleased to introduce my friend, my colleague and co-author, Jean-Paul Vyers, founder of Protocolbureau. Jean-Paul, this book also, in many ways, is the culmination of 25 years of experience of your company, Protocolbureau.
Yes, that is correct. The innovative view on protocol has to do with the importance of context. So is our view. 21st century protocol is all about balancing between the old and the new, between tradition and modernity. And to know how to balance is to understand the context. So we thought it to be important to also describe our own context. Why are we writing this book? And if you not fully understand the context Diana has just read out loud, it can be found in the introduction of the book. Now, dear friends, dear colleagues, all who have contributed in making this unique book possible, I would like to welcome you to the online launch of Protocol to Manage Relationships Today, Modern Relationship Management Based Upon Traditional Values. And I would like to thank all who have contributed. Our publisher, Amsterdam University Press, Ilja van Baarle and Monique Smets for the wonderful photo on the cover, and all who have written articles, contributions, all we have been able to interview, all who have granted us permission to use their photos. Thank you so much. I am the founder of Protocolbureau, and I've written this book together with the British William Hanson and Diana Mehta, who you just saw. William is the executive director of the English Manor, and also from the English Manor is former BBC newsreader Diana Mehta. Also, the foremost Portuguese expert on protocol and corporate image, Isabel Amaral, and my co-director Bengt-Arne Hulleman, former head of protocol of the International Criminal Court and former assistant to the Grand Master of Her Majesty Queen Beatrice of the Netherlands. These are the tutors of our successful 3-day masterclass in modern protocol, our protocol training in Brussels. And years ago, we decided to write this book. And now, after over 20 interviews, many contributions from our ushers and former ushers about their unique experience in protocol, articles by protocol and relationship management experts, the book is finally finished. Bengt-Arne, may I ask you to...
Yes, thank you very much, Jean-Paul. And the book is not meant as a complete guide of all of the millions of protocol details that can be found all around the world. But instead, it focuses on describing what is needed to be successful and to build strong relationships. We aim to learn our readers how to apply protocol in their own situation by focusing on describing protocol as a method, a modern-day tool to build relationships on the highest level.
Now, the following model by Monica Bakker explains our vision. The model has rules on the left side, the symbols on the right side, and the creation of trust and connection in the middle. The rules guarantee predictability and therefore offer the opportunity to create community. As paradoxical as it may sound, the framework of protocol actually doesn't limit space, it creates it. By ensuring a smooth organization, participants in an event, and especially those acting as host, can focus on the content of the event without having to worry about the unexpected. The symbolic side of the protocol is the story, so all of us participating in the event are able to understand the broader context of why we are here. The events and rituals, for example, of the formal start of the parliamentary year and the Queen's speech in the United Kingdom are meant to symbolize the democratic values of the country. This is the case at every ceremony that more or less follows the same pattern, like the exchange of rings and vows at weddings or the receiving of a diploma at a graduation ceremony. Symbols add meaning to the community's values, but also credibility, strength, and often beauty. Only if these two are applied in the right way Protocol is a facilitator of trust, connection, and confirmation of the good relationship. The challenge, however, is to balance between modernity and tradition. If the rules are applied too strictly, the event will become too formal and uncomfortable. Too casual and lacking focus is also not good, as the use of too few rules will result in chaos. Also, too many symbols will make people laugh when there is no symbolism. They will not be able to recognize the story and or are not able to relate to why we are attending the event. The book does not present protocol as a rigid system of rules, but as a flexible method. Protocol in the 21st century is mainly about balancing tradition and modernity.
Thank you very much indeed, Diana. And very shortly, we'll be taking your questions. So if you have any questions, please type them into the chat or the questions tab to the right-hand side of your screen. Bengt-Arne, based on what Diana has been saying there, building off that, how was that vision of a modern protocol, how was that applied throughout the book?
Well, indeed, thank you very much, William. So chapter 1 provides a broad and inspiring view about understanding why protocol is crucial in building strong, authentic networks of reciprocal relationships in today's society. The second chapter continues and elaborates on this by describing how to develop a strategic framework for successful application of protocol. This forms the basis for effective high-level networking meetings or events meant to strengthen these relationships. The chapter also explains how to translate the organization's strategy into specific relational goals. The third chapter describes how protocol is used as a method to support the achievement of the relational goals by developing effective high-level meetings or events. And the final chapter, chapter 4, focuses on the role and soft skills of a professional protocol officer and how they are key in making sure the right people can meet at high-level networking meetings or events. So in short, chapter 1 focuses on the strategic level. Chapter 2 translates the strategy into a managerial and tactical goals, whereas chapter 3 and 4 are on a more operational level. Chapter 3 describes the different forms and elements of protocol by explaining how to organize and structure meetings and events following the traditional values and rules of protocol, but applied in the 21st century. As mentioned earlier, it's not a full description of all protocol rules, however, it describes the method and provides the reader guidance on how to resolve protocol questions. Although the book can be read from start to finish, the individual chapters can also be read separately. Back to you, William.
Thank you very much indeed. Now, again, as I say, any questions, we will be taking questions from all participants, as many as we can. So please do write them in the chat or the questions tab. Shortly, we're also going to talk about how protocol was applied at the royal wedding of Prince Harry to Meghan Markle. We're also going to touch upon protocol of the Portuguese president. And we are honoured to welcome to our launch Ella Robertson, the managing director of One Young World, who we are honoured has written the foreword. We are also welcoming the former head of protocol of the European Parliament, Francois Brunagel, who has contributed to the book as well. And welcome, hopefully they will be popping up on our screens very shortly.
Yes, but let's start with the first topic. We discussed this beforehand. One of the topics we're talking about in the book is the royal wedding of Prince Harry with Meghan Markle, and you were one of the people who were actually there at the wedding. The reason we're writing about the wedding is because it was a bit different than a normal royal wedding. There were a few changes, mainly in the protocol.
Yes, there were, and we had, you know, again, on the surface, it almost looked like a standard royal wedding, and it certainly paid great lip service and ticked all of the boxes that we wanted to see: the wonderful dress, the wonderful carriage procession, the interesting guest list to work out who was there. But actually, also in very subtle ways, it changed changed the mould as to how future royal weddings will be done. The little, in terms of the guest list that were invited, the fact that the now Duchess of Sussex walked up the aisle on her own, which was perhaps not originally planned, but certainly what then happened, and even some of the performers and the speakers.
Yes, and in the book we wrote that it brought the royal couple to a peak in their popularity. And in the book we also write that it has to do with their successful application of protocol, which is it's different from what it's been before. But you told me that it still felt very much like a royal wedding, with all the aspects you would expect from a royal wedding.
Yes, absolutely. It certainly was a peak in their popularity. We haven't peaked since then, but it was a peak at the time. And it, again, even from a protocol point of view, it was very interesting because we knew some of the guests in advance that were going to turn up, people like the Clooneys. Well, where, in protocol terms, where do you seat celebrities when you've also got ambassadors or foreign dignitaries, government ministers, other members of the royal family? In pure protocol terms, when protocol was sort of formulated as it is in the 19th century, we didn't have celebrities, we didn't have Oprah Winfrey. Now we do. So where do we seat them? Yeah.
Well, one of the and I'm reading from the book right now, one of the quotes we added to this piece of the book is actually from you, William. And you said, if you do not update the protocol does not give us what we want. And this is one of the examples we were actually looking for. Thank you very much, William. Ella, I would like to welcome you now here at our online launch, our webinar. We're so happy to have you here as our guest today. I would also like to thank you very much for your great contribution to our book. You've written the foreword. And perhaps for those who do not know One Young World that well, could you start by explaining what the organization is all about?
Well, thank you, Fel. Just checking you can hear me all right. Excellent. Well, I'm so delighted to be here. And so you have contributed a tiny amount to this absolutely fabulous book, which has exceeded all my expectations. And I was already very excited about it. I think it's wonderful. I run a charity called One Young World, which is known as the Global Forum for Young Leaders. In the first year that we hosted this large conference that we organize every year, CNN dubbed it the Junior Davos. And we've been trading off that ever since because it's a helpful moniker. But every year we organize a conference with young leaders from every single country in the world. So 196 countries, from Venezuela to Vanuatu to the Vatican. And along with all these young people who are all leaders in their own right, we bring together incumbent leadership. So people like Archbishop Desmond Tutu, Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex, through to celebrities like Ellie Goulding, or football players. So all sorts of people from different backgrounds to inspire young leaders to be the change they want to see in the world, and not just to be the change, but to lead the change. So they come to the conference, they have a life-changing, fantastic couple of days, and they go back to their communities and take action on the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So it's a very, very exciting event to be responsible for, and the impact that comes out of the event is absolutely fabulous. But we do have a lot of complex protocol elements, like a flag ceremony and lots of VIPs, and we change city every year. So our upcoming summit's going to be in Munich, and then we'll be in Tokyo, and then we'll be in Belfast. And all of those cultures, you can imagine, have complex protocol implications. So protocol is absolutely essential to what we do. And I'm really, really delighted that we have this book now to help our staff navigate the complexities that sometimes presents.
So you actually don't see protocol as something that restricts you, that makes things unnecessarily formal. Protocol helps you to achieve your goals.
Absolutely, and I think it's critical that you do get it right, so that people know that they're being treated with respect. But what I've also learned, I used to be very formal with guests. I say, "Oh, Your Excellency, we're so honoured to welcome you back. It's lovely to see you again. Please come this way. Thank you again for participating." And now, because I've met some of them several times, I'll just give them a big hug and say, "Welcome back." And, I'm not breaching protocol, but actually sometimes, developing your own protocol and inducing friendship and warmth into things is very important. Yes, you do want to be formal, but you don't want to be frosty.
No. But is it difficult to find the right balance?
I think it can be difficult to find the right balance because some people get very nervous. And I think what you can do and everyone here is clearly quite interested in the topic, hence their support of the book, is to reassure people and give them clear instructions. So we took a group of young leaders last year to Windsor Castle to meet with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex to discuss gender issues. And they said, well, what do we call them? What do we do? They're quite nervous. And I think having clear guidelines to follow actually gave them a lot of confidence to make the most of that special interaction rather than worrying about, oh gosh, did I say the right thing? Because they knew they'd followed the rules. But one lady said to me, she said, I keep on saying to myself, ma'am, not mate, ma'am, not mate. And I said, you know what, if you call her mate, she won't mind. But, they are helpful and do give people the confidence to give their best in sometimes high pressured situations.
Yeah. Because you are the managing director of One Young World, so your role in Protocol has been mainly as representative of One Young World. One of the things you wrote in your foreword is, I have learned that strong protocol enables people to make the most of special meetings. Time is used wisely and interactions smooth and warm as possible. So how did you actually learn the protocol?
Well, I think I'm probably a bit like William in that I can be a bit of a nerd for it, and I do love, if I'm going to be doing business in a new country, I do like to buy a book about business culture and things like that to help navigate those sorts of things. But also, I think just asking people, saying, gosh, I've not met the president of Colombia before. Do you have any advice? And I think just everyone understands that those can be high pressure situations. But also, what I love in this book is there's an element about developing your own protocol. And that's what we've had to do at One Young World. It is complicated to have your own flag ceremony. We were the first international organization to officially recognize the flag of the refugee nation. The flag had been in existence for a while, but the Olympic Commission wouldn't recognize it. So when the refugee team went into the Olympic opening ceremony for the first time, they had to go in under the Olympic flag. So what was the protocol for recognizing the refugee flag? Did it come under R? We put it at the end. But you do sometimes have to just be decisive and make decisions based on respect and logic and common sense. And then I think everyone will tend to follow where you go.
Yes. Am I correct when I say that One Young World is an informal organization, but not afraid of using protocol to help them?
I think we're full of, the event's full of young people who are always going to be very energetic, enthusiastic, and the VIPs love that. I've got to say, the former Secretary General of the United Nations, Kofi Annan, was very involved with the organization and was a very formal gentleman. But he loved it when the delegates would cheer for him and give him a standing ovation and be informal. He was delighted. But I do think if you're going to welcome the Queen of a nation or a president or even a CEO of a company, it's important to make sure that you treat them in the way that they would expect to be treated, so that they know that your organization is conveying the respect that you wish to convey. But I do think that, as I think you've put it so brilliantly, that protocol does need to adapt with times. And if it's appropriate to be a bit less formal, then usually I think everyone will be on board with that. The one thing I would say, though, is that having a set of rules and guidelines allows everyone to know their role, where they belong, because a lot of these things are almost like a play. If you're the welcome, like, for example, this book launch, we have a moderator, we have speakers, and everyone has a role to play. And everyone knowing what they're supposed to be doing obviously gives everyone more confidence, hopefully. So I think that that's what protocol's there for, is to give everyone confidence and assurance that they can play their part most effectively.
Thank you very much, Ella, for taking the time to talk to us. There might be some questions later on. We will now go to Diana, who will have a few questions for the former head of protocol of the European Parliament, Francois Brunagel.
Now, Francois, you've been interviewed for the book, and also you've had a marvellous contribution about the challenges of protocol today, in the 21st century, especially about social distancing. Now, one of your quotes is, you explain that protocol is as old as humanity. It's based on respect for humanity and those who represent humanity. The authorities, kings, emperors, and presidents use protocol to create distance. Distance is created to ensure respect. Meeting the king should not be the same as meeting someone in the street. Could you just enlarge on that, please?
Yes, thank you, Diana, for this question and for introducing me. Good evening, everybody. There are, as a matter of fact, two aspects to your question. The first, yes, I believe that the concept of distance is intimately linked to that of respect, an essential data for protocol. And let me quote another famous personality, General de Gaulle, whose 50th anniversary of the death, of his death we celebrated yesterday. And de Gaulle, General, as the French say, quoted that authority does not go without prestige, nor prestige without distance. Indeed, power always needs a certain kind of staging, which implies inter alia maintaining a distance of respect. By the way, a better wording than social distance. But more closely to us, it strikes me that in the present times of sanitary crisis, we are recalled paying respect to other people, especially the elderly, like me, by maintaining a certain distance. Distance is not any longer only a matter of respect, but has become also a matter of safety. I'm sure our colleagues from the security service will appreciate. At second, I must recognize that our social relationships have been simplified, and we are more and more celebrating proximity. Modern power, modern politicians seek more and more proximity with the citizens, with the people, sometimes in defiance of elementary courtesy, and let add also in defiance of security. Insofar, respect and security again are linked.
So would you see a big change in the future, Francois?
I think that changes may occur at the borders. Like William explained for the wedding ceremony, the service in the church was exactly the same than in the past. But all the surroundings were run more smoothly, more relaxed. Insofar, I think that indeed, yes, protocol will become easier, will become lighter, but the core of the protocol, which means the staging of the political leader, will remain as such something rather traditional.
Francois, thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome. No, William.
Thank you very much, Francois. I believe we are able to welcome onto the stage Isabel Amaral, our friend, colleague, and another co-author of the book, to talk about the success of the President of Portugal, the current President of Portugal's application of protocol.
I don't know, I don't appear there.
Well, Isabel, we can hear you, and that's the most important thing. So tell us a little bit about the President of Portugal and how he builds relationships and applies that protocol.
It's very good to be here at last, and to tell you that although I agree with Francois that for a long time people consider that the leader should be distant to be respected. Nowadays, with the need of proximity in modern protocol, our president has managed to balance very well. He is a former law professor, so he doesn't break the rules. We have a law of protocol approved by our parliament, so he doesn't break those rules, but he has managed to adapt them to his own personality. He's a warm, affectionate person who likes to talk with everyone and to keep doing his former life during weekends, going to the beach, swimming, etc. So I think he has managed to show that this is not mise en scène, it's natural, it's his own personality, and so he has managed to do that. Some alterations, but the basis of protocol are still there.
Do you think has there been any adverse reaction against it from maybe traditionalists who perhaps don't quite understand the need to adapt?
Yes, sure. There are lots of reactions. First, the media, because they couldn't understand. For instance, on day one, instead of taking the official car to go to the ceremony, he decided to walk, and he walked for about 15 minutes from his birthplace to the parliament. And it was a way of showing that he was not going to change what he could change like that. It's not a break of protocol to walk instead of use the car. But he also managed to gain the popularity because he is there immediately when there is some trouble. For instance, in the wildfires of 2017, he immediately went to the scene and comforted the victims and talked with them, hugged them, and cried with them. And they didn't lose respect. Some traditionalists say that he should not expose himself so much, but so far his popularity is good.
Well, that's good to hear, Isabel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go to bengt-arne. Bengt-arne, are there any questions?
Yes, indeed. We have received a few questions, and if you would like to submit any further questions, please do so. But one first question to possibly Ella. One of the questions is, how can we fit protocol in our more and more informal societies where there's so much less distance?
I think that's an excellent question. I think there's clearly times where there's probably not much room for protocol. If you're having a pizza party or something like that, you might not need to stand on ceremony at all. But even at a pretty informal party, you may end up having a dinner where you might want to have a seating plan so that your friends can mingle and mix. And
We've just lost Ella, but never mind. She was talking about seating plans and actually how you can use seating plans in a domestic setting. I mean, I always find, certainly with my own dinner parties. Oh, Ella is back, which is marvellous.
Yes, well, I'm sure William's dinner parties are much more glamorous than mine. In fact, when I had William around for dinner recently, I was a little bit nervous actually because he's this etiquette expert, and I started eating and spilt souffle all down myself in probably the second bite. So I would say everyone has, and William was very kind and laughed, but not too much. But even in a party or a social setting like a dinner, you want to have a think about the seating plan and introduce a little bit of protocol to it so that your guests can meet each other, and that perhaps you've got a friend who doesn't know the rest of the group and you'd want to think about sitting them next to someone who they'd share something in common with. You're already applying protocol, because a lot of protocol does come down to common sense. Most people in a business setting at some point will need to think about protocol. If you're welcoming a client or someone from an overseas office, there's clearly protocol to apply. And I think the book gives you a really, really great set of tools, because sometimes it can be awkward. Gosh, we've got the CEO coming from the Paris office and the CEO coming from the Beijing office. Who should speak first? Lots of little things like that, where we're having to make these protocol decisions on a daily basis. So yes, our society is getting more informal, but even so, there are still all of these micro situations that we need to navigate.
Thank you so much.
May I ask?
We've received another question. What will be the biggest challenge on protocol on the next months, along with the current pandemic situation? And maybe, Francois, you wrote a contribution about this as well. So this is certainly a question for you.
Yeah, thank you. I think we will have to reinvent a certain number of gestures, and it starts with the greeting ceremonies. There are no longer shake of hands possible, sorry. How we will greet in the future? Will we do it in knocking the elbows like they did in the recent European summit in Brussels? But I think this is more fun for rugby players. Or will we join hands? Or will we lay the hand on the heart? all this is to invent and to finally be discussed ahead of a meeting. And then how are we going to organize the meetings in respecting the distances? We need probably larger rooms, wider places, and what will happen with the lunches and the dinners? It's tradition, especially in Europe, to cultivate a certain friendship around the table. But if we are sitting 1.50 meter from each other, where is the conviviality? Where is the relation we should establish on that occasion? So for the time being, I think that there are many more questions than answers. And my advice is that everyone dealing with protocol should make the point with his visitor beforehand, so that everything can run nevertheless smoothly. Because don't never forget that protocol is there to create harmony.
Thank you, Francois. Another question that we received, and I think that aligns, if I can direct that question to Ella, are protocol professionals going to start taking into consideration environment and be active in enforcing green events and join the global efforts in fighting or fighting the climate change? Obviously something for future generations.
What a brilliant question. Exactly the example that we're thinking about today of the 21st century challenges with the traditions of protocol and how we meld the two. I actually had a meeting today precisely about sustainable events, and we are going to be audited as an event from now on to make sure we are as sustainable as possible. But yes, I think absolutely, from things like helping plan travel arrangements, is it appropriate to have people flying in business class or first class when they could be taking the train? So some of those very early stages through to making sure that we're not using lots of plastic and that people are recycling, there is a protocol element to that. Of course, you wouldn't want to be, I don't know if anyone saw that video of Boris Johnson walking along at a conference last year and being given a coffee and then someone coming along and be like, no, unreusable coffee cups, and snatching it away. That was probably poor protocol, but also because it was silly. And I think a lot of protocol is about common sense and courtesy. It was very rude to snatch the Prime Minister's drink. So I think, with the environment, it is becoming more important, and people have expectations that we're going to be respectful to our environment and to the planet. But at the same time, it would be quite rude to take somebody's water bottle away. But as a host, you would be thinking, gosh, I would want to make sure that it's very visible that there's a jug of water with glasses, so that if someone does want some, they don't feel the need to go to a vending machine. So I think, like all protocol, it comes down to consideration. But there are lots and lots of implications for more environmental policy, even including, drivers and making sure that they're not leaving their engines on outside. All these little things can be quite a big deal, especially as Francois was talking about earlier, you've got a security detail coming with potentially police escorts. That can be quite complicated. So are you going to go and tell the police to turn their engines off? I'm not sure. Lots to consider. But I think the principles of common sense, courtesy and respect for your guests will steer you well. And if you're enthusing them to respect the planet more, then that's potentially a good thing. We had a delegate last year at One Young World who gave us some feedback and said, I didn't think I'd be able to have vegetarian food for 4 days. I was able to, and now I'm going to eat less meat. And we asked delegates to walk between all the venues, and they said, I think I'm now going to take up walking to work. So your event or your use of protocol could inspire people to be more environmentally friendly, and I think that's only a good thing.
Well, indeed, that sounds promising. And I think one final question that we received, and that's aligned with Francois. Is there any training for people dealing with protocol issues in non-EU missions and EU representations? And I think that, is exactly the part that you, Francois, deal with during our 3-day masterclass that we provide in Brussels. So maybe you can elaborate a little bit on the training and special features about protocol within the EU.
Yeah, I have been working in Brussels for over 40 years, so I'm ready anytime, bengt-arne, if you organize a training session again in Brussels, to jump in. There are indeed certain differences, and I welcomed Joe Biden when he was vice president in the European Parliament. Again, what is important is always to have a meeting ahead of the meeting. That means a meeting with the entering protocol, with the entering security, so to make clear what will be in use. Are we going to have a presentation line? Are we going to shake hands? How are we organize the sitting? What will be even the dishes at the table and so on? But indeed, I think it's necessary to clarify, especially what are the precedences amongst the European institutions, the European leaders, so that our entering visitors know what it is about. And again, I'm ready to serve if necessary, and as soon as possible, I hope, when you organize the next meeting in Brussels.
Thank you, Francois, indeed. And we're looking forward to organizing our training again in Brussels and welcoming you among us. For now, thank you very much, Ella and Francois, for being with us today at the launch of our book and answering our questions and sharing your expertise with us. William, can I ask you to close the session?
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, ladies, gentlemen, friends, contributors, colleagues, thank you very much for joining us for our launch today. If you'd like to buy the book, it can be done so from our websites, protocolbureau.com or theenglishmanner.com. If you like the book, obviously, please do leave us a gushing review on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, bol.com, or any other website that offers a similar function. If you speak Dutch or would like to attempt to learn it, there is also a launch of this book in Dutch on Thursday at 1 o'clock Amsterdam time with the famous Dutch fashion expert Mike de Boer, who will talk about the protocol in the world of haute couture in Paris, Milan and New York. If you'd like to register for that, please go to protocolbureau.com/book to register. And of course on our website there's also information about all of our online and offline training programs. Thank you very much indeed again for attending this book launch.